Well, we're finally coming down the home stretch on the interior rehab for Laura G. Prix, my 1979 Pontiac Grand Prix. What we're left with now is the dash. The dash has got to come out because, well, it's got a crack in it. It's got some other minor flaws in it, and the speakers are blown out. So we got to install some new speakers, but also to go with the theme that we've been going with, it's going all gray, and we got to get it to match the other plastics of the rest of this whole motif that I'm going for. But hey, if you're meeting me for the first time, I'm Grant Tommy. This is Straight Six Fan, your home for offbeat hot rodding, is what I would say. And these OPEC era cars are about offbeat hot rodding as you can get, but G-bodies are more and more popular these days. So I'm going to take you through what steps you need to go through for removing a dash on your G-body. And it's probably overwhelming, and you're kind of thinking, where do you even start? Well, start by yanking the ashtray out. Now this feels counterproductive, borderline painful, but because I just put this trim in. Go take this car on a test drive over the weekend, but advise you remove your A-pillar trim as the next step. One thing I'll say is I already have the passenger seat out because of all the work I've been doing here in the car. Probably worth your time just to go ahead and remove the seats so you don't have to be Houdini and crawling underneath and everything. But this is also probably about the time I would highly recommend you go ahead and pop under the hood and go ahead and remove the positive battery terminal cable. Next, we're attacking this black plastic around your radio, heater controls, and you go about removing that by first twisting off the ring for the cigarette lighter, and that's kind of a clamping force here at the bottom. And there are 3 7mm cap screws that need to come out up at the top. So it appears this radio trim is still kind of like hung up on a few things, so it appears, or it looks like, you gotta take this little kick panel off under the steering wheel, and it's held on by 2 8mm cap screws. As it turns out, actually 4 7mm screws. So of course these were the 2 I showed you, you can see, but crawling up underneath further, there's 2 more here down below. But we got that off, and now you can see little tabs that, like, honestly, previous owner, someone must have been in here before. Like, we're missing a lot because there's not a single screw in any of these holes except for one over here, but it looks like there's at least 1, maybe 2, 3, 4, 5 or 6, so that's kind of disappointing, but we'll get that out and then finally pull off the surround. Our next step is disconnecting things like our light switch, our wiper switch, speedometer, and like the AC heater controls. Anything that's a 7mm, we're going to go ahead and disconnect that now, because it's just things like wires, right, that are connecting this switch. That's what's really going to hold us up. So we got to pull the bracket off, pull it out, disconnect the wiring and cables and whatnot before we go any further. Gotta be honest, this heater AC controls, this really is, it's making me nervous. I can obviously see like a wiring harness clip here and something here, but not really sure if there's like a lever or something. Like, I don't know, we're gonna have to go slow with this as we yank this out. But one of the forums I've read, it says to push the controls inside the dash, but as you can see, it doesn't work on this era because the little flanges are bigger than the opening. So we'll see what happens here. Alright, there were like 2 plastic clips here and here, like a wiring harness type clip, 2 orangey spongy things. Hopefully that focuses. That one goes back here, and then another orange spongy connector thing, which looks like it fell through. This guy goes up on here, but now we are just hung up by the heater door cable, which has a tiny little, I don't even know what you call those things. I'll probably write it here below when I figure it out, but that's got to come off. So just a quick pointer after the fact, do not disconnect the cable that connects from the AC heater switch faceplate there. Don't disconnect that cable that I showed you from that. Hunt it down to the mixing box or whatever they call it, and disconnect it there, unless you want some broken plastic pieces like I have now. So we're going to be relying on a lot of Gorilla Glue to get this thing put back together. But anyway, just wanted to slide that in. After removing the little heater tray thing, whatever, there's 7mm bolts as well down there, and you can get rid of that glove box. We've got the accessory portion of the gauges out, and we've got the speedometer clock main portion loosened, but we need a, there's like the speedometer cable and stuff connects to the back of this, so we need to loosen that up. And the only way we're going to do that is we have to drop steering column, and so there's two 15mm nuts down there that we'll loosen. We'll drop the steering column, and hopefully we can fish our hands up there and disconnect what we need to. One other thing worth noting, if you have a column shift car like I do, the little cable that operates the gear indicator selector, this little clip just pries onto the sleeve of the steering column, so you'll want to remove that before you get any further. And yeah, it was tough. It was tight and everything, but we got it out. And now that I've got this all out, I couldn't quite tell if this, the heater or the ductwork, if this was just fastened to the backside of the dash but loose to the system, but it's not. It's molded into the system, and so these have to come off. Similarly over here too, they got to come off there too. And hey, look, you can start to see those speakers we got to replace, and we're getting close. I think there's 3 like 10mm nuts, like here, somewhere in here, and over there. Got to come out, and I think we can pull the dash out after that. But we're definitely at that point where I'll figure out, and you'll figure out with me, whether or not I truly do have all of the proper fasteners out. Before you go yanking out the dash, though, these clips are for the gauge pod. So this was the speedometer side, and this was the accessories. But obviously, got to pry those and push those through before we start coming outward with the dash. All right, missed one at least. There's a, it's part of the ductwork. Looks like the dash. Oh, that's tightening it, loosening it this way. Yep, there's the duct and dash that connect. All right, miss number 2 under the old defrost grill. 2 10mm, whatever. Okay, miss number 3, and this is going to be hard to show because there's this metal brace sandwiched between this metal, and there's another metal apron. Anyway, this is like a brace to the dash down there, and it's the only way to get it off is this piece. There's another 13mm bolt down here. So we'll get a ratchet wrench and see if we can't get that off. But that's miss number 3, and there's got to be some other fasteners up here in some capacity. I can see like threads coming through when I'm underneath there, but I do not see any bolt heads up here at all. I mean, I partially wonder if once upon a time that was something and they just sheared off the bolt head. I don't know. I really don't know. But we'll keep going and see if we can't figure it out. Okay, not sure if you caught my reel or not, but did finally figure out there is actually a screw in the dash, but you can see how small the head is on this. But the hole's actually smaller than this, so I left this one in still so you can see what happens, but you gotta just kind of jam a flat or a Phillips head screwdriver in there and just kind of blindly get it in there, let it bite and back it out. Okay, seems like it's ready to come out, but there's something at the bottom holding it up. I believe it's the parking brake, so we'll investigate that, and I think this should be coming out. Okay, it appears there's like a fuse box or some sort of wiring harness thing that's attached to this metal bracket. Okay, probably hard to see, but one last ground. Let's see if I can point to it. One last ground holding the whole thing up, so gotta back that out. And so check for that. Check for ground wires and things like that. And then we're done. We got it out. Okay, it is out. So we can replace these speakers now. We can start to refinish this thing, clean it up, refinish it. Oh my gosh, there's so much involved. Now, one other thing I wanted to just, before we call it an episode, is see these little clips here and here, just kind of wire management for some more of the heater controls. So you just, pull the wires out of that, leave them in the car. And then there's a under dash light down here. We had to disconnect, but otherwise it came out. So yeah, boy. That's a lot of work, but, and I know I'm not the first person on YouTube to do a G-body dash removal video. However, all the other videos I watched, I did find there are enough differences in at least on the Grand Prix, right? And as I understand, Grand Prix from 78, 79, and 80, they're a little bit different than 81 through 87. So I don't know if that's necessarily true on like Monte Carlos and Cutlasses and Regals and things like that, but maybe. So I guess what I'm saying is if you have a 78 through 80, hopefully this video is helpful for you. But yeah, if you want to watch some more of my interior rehab videos, I will leave some here on the end screen. But otherwise, like, comment, share, subscribe. I don't care which one you do, as long as you do one. It really helps the channel out. To all my 6 fans out there, thanks for watching.